The Spin-off Podcast Network.
This is Kiwi is back for a brand new season with more inspiring kōrero from special guests including rugby player, father and role model TJ Perenara.
My family bring me joy. Rugby brings me joy too, but it's not the same joy as my family brings me.
And global dancer and choreographer Kirsten Dodgen.
For some reason, people think I'm very intimidating.
Listen to the new season of This is Kiwi, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network in collaboration with KiwiBank. Available now wherever you get your podcasts.
Kia ora, this is Toby Manhire, here to urge you to tune in to Gone by Lunchtime, a podcast with me, Annabelle Lee Mather and Ben Thomas, tackling the world of New Zealand politics, from policy to polling, from scandal to psychodrama. Listen to Gone by Lunchtime, brought to you by the Spin-off Podcast Network, wherever good pods are sold.
First of all, how are you feeling?
Wild. For those who don't follow me on social media, I was roughly 3 to 4 houses away from the enormous fire in Newtown last night. So I've been up all night.
People might be listening to this later down the track though.
Yeah, true. So, okay.
More context, there was a big fire in Wellington.
And Sunday night, 2 houses, from what I know, they were abandoned. Both burnt fully down.
You were on the scene.
Yes.
Possible suspect.
No, but it was.
Possible suspect.
But it was. So we got... Eventually, we sat down and watched it for a little bit. Not watched it, but, you know, had nothing else to do.
Like when you asked, you're going to see a big house on fire.
And then they taxied us to this hotel, which was ultimately closed. So we didn't even get in the hotel for a while. But then a cop showed up to the hotel, and he said, it's an arson. I don't even know if he was meant to tell us, but he was like, it's an arson.
What an amazing thing to just head in and be like, it's an arson.
Yeah.
Anyway, enough of your personal life.
Let's get your
frankly, it's been featured too much on this podcast.
Yeah.
And let's get into a recap. This is welcome along to RuPaul's Drag Race Under the Covers.
Down under the covers
with... So that is, again, from the top. RuPaul's Drag Race Down Under the Covers with Chris and Eli, a.k.a. the Male Gaze. And we will not actually accept a smaller title.
No, it needs to go that long.
And here we
are. And should we say it is also a sub-season amidst the spin-offs podcast, The Real Pod.
Yes.
So it does normally have 5 titles in a row.
And that's important to recognise.
Yeah.
So we're getting to the end of this podcast, actually.
Unbelievably.
And I don't know what I'm sadder about, the end of Drag Race Down Under or actually the end of this podcast.
I've scheduled catch-ups with my friends.
But maybe we could just keep reviewing it on our own independent podcast called The Male Gaze.
Which you can actually find on any podcast app. Gaze is spelled with a Z,
and we record probably once every 3 months. So... It's getting down. We're down to our top 5. And we said goodbye to Maxi Shields last week.
Devastating.
Very upsetting.
And so now we have 5 queens, 2 Kiwis left, and no time for a goddamn mini challenge.
Absolutely not. We're just getting straight into the guts of the episode.
And it's unusually a talent show, which is normally an all-stars only challenge, right?
Well, and that was really featured because we heard Karen whisper, right? Like it wouldn't be a talent show. But then I was like, surely you got told to prep a talent.
Surely Scarlett didn't just bring a giant pole.
Mary Poppins it out.
She built it.
They don't really let you know how they ask you to prep for that show. Yeah. But from what I gather, you get told one thing, and boy, it is something else on the day. It is something
else, yeah.
So it's like bring something green, and then it'll be like the runway theme, Earth, or something. So you're like, oh, damn it.
Which is a bizarre
So surely
way to
they were
things.
like, bring something
you can do on stage.
Like a 15-minute
And
act.
Art was like, I guess I can put my fist in my mouth. And ticked that one off the list. And
so let's break down their talents. Because, because that's really all there is to recap. So let's just talk a little bit about the vibe in the workroom. I think Elektra sort of feels like she's fallen down the cliff a little bit. Yeah, a little bit. And boy, her time on Drag Race, she has put her pedal to the metal and has worked so hard. So hard. I think she's so fed up with getting told. Yeah. And do you know what? So I'm sick of hearing that she hasn't got it.
I'm sick of being told she's the underdog when ultimately she's one of the only queens who's won anything. There's been 2 episodes, so only 2 people have had a chance to win, and one of them was Elektra. So
yeah, exactly. And her looks are good.
Yeah, and she also made.
But they're not the most expensive looks on the runway.
No,
but
they're good.
They're good.
And this week, she's one of the few people to bring an actual talent to the talent show,
which is kind of Sia modern dance.
Yeah. Don't we get a little bit of Keita backstory in this area as well? I can't remember exactly what it was, but I remember thinking, God, Keita's getting a wonderful edit this episode.
I think Keita is like, you can sense that she's like ready to win this competition. Oh, that's right. Here we go. It's my favorite part of any like comedy challenge or talent show challenge when someone gets to choose the running order.
Oh, of course. Of course.
And so Keita has the power to choose the running order for the talent show. And for some reason, in the RuPaul's Drag Race universe, to pick a running order
is the most dramatic
thing in the world. Like, you can make or break someone in the competition by where they sit in a running order. Now,
as someone who performs in lineups,
I would say we're in a running order once a week sometimes.
And what I do is I look at the list and I go, oh, yep.
Won't be able to go at interval.
Exactly. That's what I'm thinking is when can I go? When should I have dinner?
Like, should I watch the first half? Nah. Like,
I'll show up at 9:30.
I really, truly believe, from my experience of being someone who's been on a lineup, it doesn't matter.
You can pop off at any point.
You can pop off at any point and you can win and like it doesn't matter. Like there are some, if there's an interval, the audience will be more drunk, but they won't be on Drag Race because the challenge show is 10 minutes long.
Yes, and the audience is 3 people, 3 judges.
Like
they're paid to be there.
People could tire out if the show runs too long. So if you're at the very end, that's a bit hard. But again, it is like a 15-minute show.
It's
like there's
so
5
quick.
acts. It's like what? It doesn't matter. It does not.
And if you
matter.
ask me what the running order was, I'll tell you what. I can't remember because it is irrelevant.
I know. Well, here's the thing. It was a big fight for last spot. And
between Elektra and Scarlett. Yes,
and
true.
Elektra and Keita are like, because there hasn't been too much like alliance play at work, but because it is this sort of first time ever we've really had like a
multi-country season, right?
And so you get a taste.
I guess you get it on UK when you have like Scotland and...
Yeah, but it's never like, let us Scottish queens
let us put the Scots last.
No, it's like, but the New Zealand queens are very much like, let's look out for each other. Because they're part of like a drag family, I guess.
Yeah.
But I'm like, I wonder if like that's got Ru's brain ticking in terms of like a international Drag Race franchise and having like multiple queens from multiple areas.
Love to see it.
Because they'll be able to gang up. But so
and that's what you want, and that's what Ru wants.
Yeah, because it's not actually about bringing.
Hunger Games.
Yeah, no, it's not about bringing community.
He wants
together.
Blue Hydrangea to kill Jimbo.
Yes,
from Canada.
Exactly. I mean, actually, it'd be amazing to watch. So Keita decides. Well, Keita kind of hears out everyone where they want to go, and she decides that she'll put Elektra, because Elektra had a private word to her in this kind of. Oh, like that amazing thing that happens in reality TV where like the camera's not really like getting what's happening. It's like, it's the feet, it's the cameras, it's the cables. It's like, oh, it's really on the moment reality.
Yes.
And it's Elektra being like, I want you to put me last.
I love that.
And Keita's like, last? Do you want to go last? I'll put you last. And I was like, oh, amazing.
Yeah.
But also irrelevant.
So irrelevant. Although what I will say is that even though the running order is relevant, does Keita go second, right?
Yes.
What is up with the people who choose the lineup order always being like, I'll go second?
I mean, I actually love coming in second.
Really?
Because you got like your first establishing act and everyone's like, oh, we're watching a talent show. And then it's like, finally. But again, I don't think it matters in terms of Drag Race because you're all being judged independently.
Yeah.
The lineup is kind of irrelevant and there's not many acts and it's not very long.
I don't think if Elektra didn't go last, she would have been in a different position
Absolutely
at the end of the day.
No, not at all.
Although I will say, I do not agree with the judging for this episode.
No,
even in the slightest.
So here's what the acts are.
Oh, we should say as well. Scarlett does poll and then says no drag queen has ever done poll before. And truly, I mean, we've watched so much Drag Race in the last year, but it feels like 3 weeks ago, Shake related
an amazing poll routine. And it was like the exact...
In the talent show.
It was the exact same setup.
Yeah.
It was the exact same poll.
Yeah.
Almost.
Except she was doing an original song at the same time.
Yeah, you're right. I guess, Scarlett, no one has ever done just poll
to some generic music, which I believe was...
No one really talked in this talent show. Did you notice that?
Yes. And no one sung.
It was just like... it was all kind of like music was kind of like humming along as they just sort of did things.
I mean, I got a definite strong impression that everyone was performing to different music than we were hearing.
Like royalty. We got the royalty free.
Royalty free, but they were all doing Katy Perry Firework or something very expensive.
So we've got the talent show kicks off with Karen from finance, who does the trick of one balloon animal. I was like, this could be great.
Oh, yeah, I was
sort of watching her prep and I was like, okay, it's going to be like a comedy routine where she's like, oh, like when we've seen like a clown at like the A&P show make like funny balloon swords and you're like, this is hilarious. But she very much just in silence to the music made a dog and that was it.
She did a slightly funny walk out and then she made the dog and then she did a not funny walk off.
It was.
She finished the show and it was as if a curtain fell and she was just walking off in her own
time. She kind of walked off and then Michelle kind of was like, oh, that's it? Just one? Okay.
It's also, we'd seen her make the whole dog in the workroom.
But I've like...
Isn't that the first thing you learn how to make?
I've seen that balloon dog like so much. Like I just know how you... And I know how you make it. They're not hard.
If you put me in a room and gave me 3 hours, I could do it.
Absolutely. It's like we want to see something we haven't seen before or something we know well but done to a level that also feels drag.
Yeah.
But it literally felt like, I've got to make 40 balloon animals for 40 kids at this charity thing. Like, I'll whip one out.
Whoops, I got called to another gig, so I only had time to do one.
It's so crazy to be like, oh, hold on. We're in semi-finals.
Yeah.
And I'll make one balloon animal.
I can't
one
believe
balloon
it.
animal.
I can't. Also, so she went on a bit of a journey this episode because they told her they wanted to see Sexy Karen for some
my God.
reason, which was bizarre. And then, so she did do a slightly sexy character, I guess. And that to me was kind of the comedy, was that she came out sexy and then made a balloon animal.
No glasses?
I guess so.
It was like a 90s rom-com where the nerd takes her glasses off and suddenly she's sexy. I was like, I don't know if this is... You're still like... like walking around.
I got to tell you, whirlwind, watching a house burn down. I was sitting in front of you yesterday and all I could think of myself was, Karen made one balloon.
Yeah.
It's one balloon animal.
And I kind of thought like there was... it had territory. Like all the elements were there, but that's kind of how I feel about Karen sometimes. Like all the ingredients are there. Like you've got prime beef mince, you've got the finest pasta, like fresh tomatoes from the vine, and then just like you make the wrong dish. Like it just, the choices, when it comes to fruition, you're like, huh?
I don't feel like we've seen full Karen from fun. Like we haven't seen her do many gags about that. And in the talent show normally, most people do a pre-prepared music track that they recorded themselves that they lip sync to. And I'm like, what a perfect opportunity to do a track about being an accountant.
Some taxes?
Yeah.
But it was hilarious.
Did some funny math.
It would have been great. Like, what's your talent? I'm going to file taxes. Like, genius.
Yeah. I cannot believe she wasn't in the bottom. I cannot believe it.
But her runway look was really fun.
It was cool. So it was really cool.
We may as well just critique every queen then. So the runway theme was, how's your head? Peace. And it was like all about headpieces. And so she was kind of in this big pink poodle vibe.
Yeah,
she was a poodle.
I liked it.
It was fun. It was big.
It looked awesome.
Big and
I loved seeing her duck under the door.
Hilarious.
That was funny.
Remember how funny her entrance was when she like walked in
that was
and missed the mark and like almost walked into the camera? Like I was just like, it's all there. But she's like, I better be professional for camera.
Yeah.
And then you like miss all the kind of chaos. Okay, so now let's move on to, was it
Keita next?
Was it Keita next? And she's doing quick change. Now, I got to say, I'm just like, perfect.
Yeah.
I think it's a great idea.
Same.
It's genius. I think it's going to be great.
Mm-hmm.
And Rue immediately is like, oh, I hate quick change.
Bizarre.
Which is like, for someone who hosts a show built on the idea of costume reveals, you can't come out here and say that you hate costume reveals. You literally had a challenge that was like 3 reveals on one. Remember that runway?
Yeah.
It's like, what are you talking
What are you asking
about?
for?
What are you talking about? It was so crazy, so unnecessarily like mean to be like, oh, I don't really like what your talent is. And then they kind of critiqued her on the looks, but I thought the looks were great.
I like the wig.
Yeah, it was good.
I will say once again, if she had written a pre-prepared track about who Keita Mean was and did all that, then
it would have felt original.
It would have, yeah.
Totally.
It was cool though. She looked good.
I thought it was
the
well
change at the end.
executed.
Yeah.
I will say, like, because I love watching quick change routines. It's one of my favorite things to watch on YouTube. And I recommend actually Celine Dion costume changes during her world tour. You can just watch the behind the scenes footage. It's great fun.
Awesome.
But
I'm actually gonna write that down right now.
I mean, it's very weird, but it's like her just been like, yeah, it's going well, and like sipping on her Fiji water as someone like puts her into her next outfit, combs her hair, and pushes her back out on stage. But it's really fun. But the mechanism of quick change always is the same.
I wrote down feline doom because I couldn't get Celine Dion out. Anyway, it is the
It's
little
like the
hoop
hoop thing, and then like tinsel coming out. That being said, she didn't drop the ball. And
She did
Michelle's
good.
only critique was it took a little while for the first one to happen. But oh well.
How many did she do? She 4?
She had 4. It was
It was
great.
awesome.
It was amazing. And you didn't know the rebels were coming. And they were like, wow. Like they literally
Yeah,
were like
they
watching it
said
and be like,
wow.
wow. Which I was like, that's a talent.
I'd love it if in the judging she was like, "You said wow."
Don't say that you're not impressed and then say
then
wow.
say wow.
I mean, wow is the biggest thing that you could say.
Kita's headpiece look is phenomenal.
Amazing.
I can't get over that wig. It's so
And
cool.
she's wearing these sort of haunting, she's in this sort of like galactic robot, sort of sci-fi warrior outfit. It's all sort of metal and she's wearing
Barbarella or
impossibly
something.
large boots.
The boots are crazy.
She's quite a tall queen anyway, and it adds like a good,
Foot.
I would say, 20 centimeters on her.
Yeah, it's huge.
And then the headset that she's kind of walking down, you're like, that's kind of fun. And
Freaky
then,
contacts.
Bam, it all lights up, and you're just like, oh, a costume that lights
Beautiful.
up. So good.
It was so cool.
well
it was weird
executed.
digital.
It was great. And it was a good headset. It wasn't like huge. It was just kind of like, oh, a fun take on that.
Yes.
And she's wearing those scary eyes that she
Yeah.
can't see out of. So critically, she's not ready to lip sync.
That is true.
She can't see, and she's wearing tall boots.
Tall boots, she can't
And
really
she's
move.
wearing basically like tinfoil.
Yeah.
Okay, then we've got Art Simon, whose talent is
She's
eating.
got a big old mouth.
She's got a big mouth.
So what does she do? Pies?
She puts a pie
She
in her
puts a
mouth.
whole pie in her mouth.
Then she puts.
Then the Lamingtons one, which was
She didn't actually put it in her mouth.
She
She
didn't
just-
put them in her mouth. She cheated.
And then the third one, she didn't actually have anything, so she put her fist in her mouth.
And that was
It's basically like
pretty funny.
one joke.
Yeah.
It's like a good joke format where you like set up a theme, twist the theme,
Yeah.
and then like flip the theme. And
Yeah.
that's like the traditional like joke format. But it like doesn't make any sense.
There's no choreography around it as well. There was no like.
No.
Yeah.
I'm like, I don't know. Part of me just wants a queen to go out there and like shotgun a bear.
Yeah.
Like just skull or like,
Yachty.
just like,
Yeah.
just do something kind of crazy.
I mean, eating a full pie in like one mouth.
I mean, it was amazing.
It's kind of. Is
and it
almost
did go
there.
down quite quick.
Yeah. Was
I
it hot or cold, do you reckon?
I'm not sure. I don't know. It just wasn't,
Either way, gross.
it wasn't memorable
Yeah.
by any means. You sort of have to be like, oh, what did she do again? But the fist in the mouth was funny.
Yeah.
She's very charming.
She's charming. She's made me laugh the whole time.
I
And
guess she's kind of tainted by this idea that like she was eliminated on
kind of fair and
the
square.
fairest grounds. Like she got out lip synced by someone. She got sent home. And then Rue was like, you're coming back for no reason. Like,
And then she has come back and she hasn't won anything.
and it's not her fault.
No, I like her.
We like her. Like no hate to arts, but it's just like hard to it's just someone rationally kind of watching the show. You're just like,
Yeah.
you shouldn't be here. I don't know. That's all you can kind of think.
Yeah, it's buzzy. She's my second favourite to win, though.
Yeah, absolutely. And then you've got it in for Karen.
Yeah, I do.
Well, it's true when you're watching all the kind of talent that's around there, and then she won the first challenge.
She won the first challenge. And she did.
and she was like, can't wait for the acting challenge.
And the shark look was one of my most favourite looks of the
Yeah.
whole season. Now Scarlett.
Now it's Scarlett.
Scarlett does a pole routine. She's really good at pole. I
Yeah,
thought. Pretty good.
It's the look, and she's kind of in leather and like nothing else. It's kind of really confronting.
Yeah.
But she talks up the whole time about how it's very dangerous. She could fall on her head.
Yeah.
And die. And she does a good twist around the pole, and it's good pole dancing.
What I will say with this, did I already mention this? That I believe the song that she was pole dancing to, or the one that they edited into, was also the final lip sync song in House of Drag season 1.
Wow. Okay. Drag
Isn't that-
universe.
Yeah.
I love
A
that.
little bit of things tying together.
And they're pretty impressed by it, and you can tell probably while she's performing it, she's going to win.
Yeah.
The judges are just loving it, and I was like, I think Rue. There's a part of Rue that just loves watching like a skinny twink bend
Yeah.
around a pole.
Yeah.
Like it's kind of sexy in a way that's they look like they're into it. Yeah, it's kind of odd.
It was odd, but
It was kind of uncomfortable in a weird way.
Yeah.
But maybe it's because of our relationship to Scarlett is so specific now because of you can't
It's really hard to.
You can't deny that, like, what the conversation about her online directly impacts how you view her on the show. And she's only, in our eyes, known as that racist drag queen who's done, like, blackface multiple times.
And while she hasn't been cherry pied out of the show in the editing, I feel like most fans are kind of cherry pieing her out of the discussion.
In their mind. So you also, like, you're like, oh. But it's that thing of, like, she did do the best. But you also can't. Yeah. It's again kind of like, by no means like art, but like in the same way of like how she got eliminated from the show, kind of randomly brought back. You sort of in your brain are like, oh, but you've also done those terrible things in the past.
Things, yeah.
And so you kind of watch it like, And then we move on to...
she has a great runway look. Whoever designed that, I thought that was awesome.
Yes, it's very kind of like Follies kind of. Yeah. Lots of feathers, beautiful. And it looks very expensive.
Looks really expensive. Then we have Elektra coming out and doing a beautiful dance routine. Well, I can't get over it.
It's very like, so you think you can dance.
It's very so you think you can dance.
It's very like that lyrical contemporary. And I feel like we very rarely see that kind of vulnerability on the show.
Raw performance like that.
And I'm like, God, this queen is
she's giving
us everything. Like she's
giving
us
in the
confessional.
She's
like she's just pours her heart out. Like, and she's like, she doesn't care how she's perceived on the show. Like she's just like, she's actually playing to win.
Yeah.
So she's like, what will break through in this talent show? She's like, I'm just going to pour my heart out on stage. Like, there's a lot of critique about, it's so funny because like in any other world where you're in a dance competition, no one would be like, your hair is...
Your wig isn't good
your wig is wrong.
Yeah.
But it seems to be like the contentious issue about the dance. I will say that like, she's in a black dress. She should just be in like black hair, but she just doesn't like have black hair. I don't know.
Yeah.
You want it to be like uber, like Tatiana, like slam poetry, like, you know, just like a black bob.
Yeah.
Well, she wears a black bob in the
later
rumba.
on. She should have just worn the same wig twice. I don't know. It's also, there's a critique of like, it's not drag enough. But
neither was Karen literally making a balloon.
Yeah. And then Elektra wears a swing as her headpiece.
Oh, yes. And it's very Catherine Zeta-Jones.
Yes,
she looks straight out of Chicago.
Oh, she simply cannot do it alone. She needs a swing.
And she... it's this amazing swing. I was like, this is so random and I love it.
Yeah.
She'd made it herself.
Yes.
I wish I could like get into her head and be like, how does she come up with these concepts of just like a headpiece could be anything and be like a swing? Like that she just like knew, she just knew it had to be a swing.
Yeah.
Let's actually talk a little bit as well about Raven pops into the studio.
Oh yeah.
And it's like everyone is genuinely so starstruck in a way that's like kind of embarrassing. Like in a way, like I guess New Zealand, Australian queens feel like they're never going to see the American ones, but I'm like, she's on level with you guys.
Yes.
But like, it's fine. But she looks gorgeous, and they're just like truly starstruck. And I think about this point, like maybe horny, like
yeah. And they just wouldn't have met many new people since then because I doubt they talked to the pit crew at all.
No.
And so she comes in and then also engages with them.
And Rue, I feel like is so like cold.
Yeah.
In this
he's like,
chunk.
Raven's here, guys. Talk to Raven. And I'll stand beside her.
And he's like, what are you doing? I hate that. I hate that. Like, it's kind of all he's doing, just making them doubt everything.
Yeah.
And then Raven talks to Elektra, and there is this crazy sexual energy between the two of them.
It's full on.
And Elektra's kind of like genuinely wanting to have sex with Raven. It's all it feels like. It's such a weird moment. Hands kissing. Like, it's like, it's all weird.
It's a lot. I loved it.
It was quite funny.
Because Raven's kind of one of the earliest sexy queens on the show. Like, when she is sex to me.
And she's there because she does Rue's makeup. I mean, we all know that now.
Yeah. And she got here late, and that's why Rue wasn't a drag in episode 1, and they didn't get any days off.
Okay, whoa, full tea.
Wow.
And now, there's a lot of critique, and it sort of feels like, in my mind, like if I was the judge, I would have put maybe Karen in the bottom with
With art, I reckon.
With art. But then maybe we're just so, like, biased here. But it truly feels like Keita gives a very polished drag performance. And yes, the drag costumes aren't amazing, but they're good.
They're good. And then her runway is amazing. Oh, but did we talk about Art's runway? I think it's really pretty.
Oh, yeah, Art does that beautiful butterfly thing.
And the way that, because Keita had some mechanical butterflies earlier.
Yes.
Art does have cooler mechanical butterflies.
And I'm glad there's no real butterflies.
Exactly.
I feel like everyone's learned.
Asia O'Hara sitting at home being like, oh,
Mechanical ones.
Mechanical.
Oh, of course.
They are alive and it's not animal cruelty.
See, okay. So, yeah, it's kind of like nitpicking at this point, but it always is on Drag Race at this point.
And it's just...
But I always feel like it should come down to the talent. Like, who gave the best talent versus who gave the best wig inner talent.
Yeah.
In a way.
It feels like such a weird thing to take.
And you should go taste aside who was the best talent, like who put on the best show.
Yeah.
So it's like you don't like Keita's costumes, but she gave you a good
talent.
show.
Put on a show.
Versus you can't tell me what Art's talent was. Tell me. Tell me in one word. It is what? You can't say it's not a talent.
If I were to see an Art Simone show and that was part of it, I'd hope that was like a filler bit in between the real show.
It's also this thing. It's like you hear it all the time. Like this is the Olympics of drag. You can't come into Drag Race after all these seasons not knowing how to sew and with bad looks. Plus, in my opinion, no one ever talks about it, but like if you know there's a talent show, bring a talent. Like bring a good big talent. Like swallow a sword.
Yeah.
Light your hand on fire. Like learn something real quick, but like just learn something new. Don't just be like, what can I kind of do? I can sort of eat a pie.
Yeah. Because it shows that you're thinking beyond the show as well. Because this show is about when you finish the show, that's not the end of your career. You need to be doing something afterwards.
Yes.
And so we got a chance to see an example of what all their shows would be. And
what would your talent be?
I don't know.
I wouldn't know either. But then, it's so funny they give that critique, but we aren't drag queens. But I think I would just do something random. Like, I think I would try and light my hand on fire or a death-defying stunt.
I loved when Derek Barry did impressions.
But even when Keita's stick came out of the ground, that was amazing.
That's cool. That's fun.
It feels like a talent show. I mean, maybe I could play the clarinet. Just very earnestly play it.
I reckon I'd write a song. I don't know, maybe.
Yeah, it's good because it's on brand.
Yeah, and it's with
Electra should have electrocuted herself.
Yeah.
And just been like, whoa, oh my God, that was crazy.
Yeah.
That was full on.
She doesn't reveal it's a skeleton underneath, and then the dress comes back on.
Oh my God, come on, amazing.
Yeah.
Anyway.
It's weird how
tightrope walking, ride a unicycle. You've got maybe a month to learn. Hacky sack.
Throw the ball and get it in the cup.
Learn how to do the splits. I don't know.
Kazoo
it.
Anyway, Keita and Anita. Oh, Keita and... Oh, my God. Anita's still there in my heart. But Keita and Elektra end up lip-syncing, which I guess is this moment of it feels slightly engineered to put the two Kiwi queens against each other.
It does. I don't necessarily agree with it. And Keita seems really... You can see that she wants it. It's that kind of Alaska All-Star Season 2, I've worked so hard, I can't believe it's slipping out of my hands right now. I'm about to lose my shit kind of moment.
Yeah.
She's freaking out.
Yeah.
And it's quite emotional, and she's not really dancing around.
No. And she looks especially because of the eyes.
And it's so dangerous. And
but she can't really dance around in those shoes,
no,
right?
She's in the worst possible outfit. But... all power to her.
She performs with a lot of precision,
Your eyes stick on her.
Yeah, they do.
She's got it. She's got this thing about her that's magnetic.
Yeah.
She's just... Your eye always goes to Ketamine.
And it looked cool. The outfit looked cool with the song.
But I was like, put the hat on. If this competition is about, making everyone look at you the whole time, why wouldn't you light your hat on?
Your hat on, yeah.
We know it goes...
We know it lights up.
We know it lights up. So,
light it up.
Already be much brighter than the other person you're going up against.
Yeah.
It's just put it on, put the hat on, put the hat on. You've got all those light bulbs in your hat, put them on.
Yeah.
And Elektra gives us a kind of walk out.
A false start.
But then back in, and
back in
she's
hard.
ferocious and full Catherine Zeta-Jones Chicago.
She looks
get
so
it?
much like now the swing's gone.
The swing does. She's just in a small bob and a kind of cabaret outfit. And I'm into it.
Oh my God, I loved it.
And then I wonder if
A weird moment happens where they bleed in Karen saying their eyes were on Keita.
Yeah, there's a couple of those sort of moments.
Yeah, which is not a usual thing.
Kind of ramps up the drama a little bit.
Yeah, it does a bit.
And unfortunately, it means Elektra goes home.
Finishes with a beautiful hug between them.
Two Kiwi gals hugging. And it's nice. It's nice to see. It's emotional. The judges don't really care, but I think it's emotional for the queens. And Elektra, there's been some great walkout lines.
There really
and actually,
has.
Elektra quotes Joey from Friends. It says, "Hey Rue, how you doing?" Which is so crazy.
And amazing that this...
and in my mind, that quote now doesn't actually belong to Joey from Friends.
It belongs to Elektra Shock.
From Down Under.
And amazing for Elektra Shock's thing to be hitting on other drag queens, but it only comes in this last episode, but it comes thick and fast.
Can I also say that Rue's been wearing a lot of green and yellow on the show, and also in the titles for this talent show, it was like only like kangaroos, I think. Like,
yeah, put a goddamn
like
more in
I just
there.
want a bit more. Like the New Zealand queens are bringing it. Like are giving you. We're 2 in the top 5. We're easily the crowd favorite.
Yeah.
Like we're the story of the season, and in my opinion, the winner of Drag Race.
Yeah.
Keita Mean on the show.
We had one of the best Snatch game performances.
Rue,
and one of the worst Snatch
please.
games.
Give us a sort of...
Give us a little
put
bit
on some
more Kiwi.
Karen Walker. For God's sake.
I'd love to see some Karen Walker on
Yeah.
Rue.
She should have been in the makeover challenge.
You know what's crazy? Lord wears Karen Walker glasses in that video for Solar Power, and by Karen Walker's tweet about it, she didn't realize it was going to happen.
Oh, wow.
She was like, oh, look, funny to see these out there. We've ended up with a top 4 that, like, if you told me at the start of the season these were the top 4, I'd be like, of course.
Yes.
But the way we've got there has been buzzy as.
It's been like a fever dream.
And it really feels like if Keita doesn't win, I won't be able to believe it.
Yeah.
I'll be astonished.
You have to kind of look, when you sit down and think about it, you're just like, all the eggs are on Keita's plate. Is that even an expression?
All the eggs are on her plate.
But like, won a challenge,
protein.
which not every queen in the top has.
No.
Hasn't really dipped.
No.
Has always brought it on the runway. Never had a negative critique on the runway. Has lip synced once.
Has been a lovely, well-loved person.
Well loved. Hasn't been racist.
No.
Critically. Which you actually need to win Drag Race. You actually have to be like not racist.
Yeah.
And is genuinely very talented.
Yeah. And she's kind of narrated a lot of the season since the start, actually.
Yeah. You've got Karen, who won the very first challenge, and then, in my honest opinion, sort of coasted through.
Yeah.
And has always been kind of safe. And it's interesting, her narrative of like a few weeks ago was like, I'm not giving what the judges need, and I need to figure out what that is. And then usually they figure it out.
You'd get that before
it was
the
kind of like
finale.
that was the last we heard of Karen.
Yeah.
So then we've got Art, who has been wonderful. So talented, very funny,
cool looks,
amazing looks, a really polished drag queen. But ultimately, was sent home.
Cut.
Week 2, and on like equal grounds as to any queen could have gone home.
Absolutely.
And then
in a week where lots of people did bad,
and then there's
she did the worst.
Scarlett, who just cannot win.
She cannot win,
and will not win.
It
just can't happen.
Yeah,
it will not happen.
It won't happen.
It won't. I don't want to be near the internet.
I know. It would be...
It's a disaster. It'll be the end of the empire.
Yeah.
So
I'm excited to watch Keita Mean win next week, and I can't wait to have her in studio.
Honestly, iconic. But and it sounds, we have to defend her here. It sounds like we've like, said like, for all these reasons, Keita should win.
But she should also
run on her own right.
An incredible talent.
Yeah.
Has always
Which
been
is
an amazing
why
performance.
I booked her for my 30th birthday.
And she did an
We've come
amazing
full
lip sync
circle.
then. Yeah, and Chris actually could have booked any of the queens.
I could have booked any queen.
Yeah, he actually had all of their numbers.
I could have booked.
He had all their photos on the wall.
Actually, Elektra also there.
Really?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
So people had no idea. That was a great night.
That was a good night. That was a great night. Okay, now is the very exciting time in the episode where we have a very special guest who, and this is rare for us because she's in studio with us.
Yeah, it's bittersweet
person.
because we know that when we've got a guest in studio, we know it's a New Zealand eliminated queen.
Yeah, and not to...
But we're also happy to have them in studio because it's nice to actually get to chat to them.
We do get a little publicity tease as well because they'll email us, they'll be saying, if your guest could be in studio, what time should they...
We're like, oh no. So please welcome to your ears the wonderful Elektra Shock.
Hello, hello, hello.
How are ya?
I'm pretty good. How
You
are
had
you
a
boys?
big day of press, right?
I
Talking
had
to
a big
everyone.
day of press. 4 a.m. start, breakfast television, but you know.
You're
that's
looking
what we do it for.
amazing.
Thank you.
Beautiful.
How was breakfast? How was the vibes? What was the energy?
It
What
was
did John
fun.
Campbell think?
Maddie, when I walked in, John Campbell, he said, Jesus Christ, when I walked in.
Oh, gorgeous.
But I was
Once.
dressed like a hooker, so, you know.
I was thigh-high boots, amazing.
Thank you.
Okay, let's just, I don't even know where to begin. We've talked to every eliminated queen on the show.
Go hard, go in.
Also,
Let's
I don't know if
get
you've
into
listened,
it.
but we are obsessed with your journey in every episode. You've been the leading character of the show.
So this is why it's hard to kind of unpack it all because I feel like with every queen that we've talked to, it's sort of been like, oh, you had this one amazing moment and it'd be sad to see you go. Whereas I feel like
You've said that to every queen who's come onto this podcast.
No, no.
But no, honestly. But
We
I
have
feel like
also repeatedly said Elektra Shock is the main character.
You
of
actually
RuPaul's Drag
have.
Race
I've
Down
loved this
Under.
podcast so much. It's been very affirming for me as I've watched the show through. They're like, well, let's just see what Eli and Chris says because they're on my side.
But it's true. It's like, okay, let's just start from the top. So you found out you've been signed on for Drag Race, right? Like, or I guess there's big auditions and all that kind of stuff first.
Yeah.
Or like a text.
like a
It's informal.
like
It's
a
New Zealand.
Facebook message.
Yeah, nice.
And how ready do you think you were for Drag Race? Like knowing that you could do it? Like just to say like you didn't get any prep time. You could have been like, could you just run in with what you had?
I mean, I did just run in with what I had, to be fair. Like it was when I got the call, say, you know, this is happening. Are you interested? Would you be keen? Like, yes was obviously straight away. And then it's after that you go, how the fuck am I going to afford this?
Yeah.
And how, like, what am I going to do? Like, because Drag Race is now just...
But this is why I think you are so inspiring because there will be so many queens in your position, you know, who like, you're an elevated, amazing performer. But like, you know, you look at like someone like Karen who's just got like years and years of expensive drag, like in the cupboard, ready to go. Whereas like queens want to know that they could enter the show with what they've got, which is, you know, a couple of years of drag arsenal, like 8 years of drag up their sleeve, but be able to like prove that they can do it with talent, which is what I think you proved on that show.
Thank you.
So,
And you got to show everything. You were in it till the second to last
That's what I mean.
episode.
I
You got
had
to wear
one
every
more
look.
dress, and it's a dress that people have probably seen before anyway. Do you know what I mean? So like, I had, like, I really did wear everything I had. Yeah.
Amazing.
So were you nervous heading into it?
Yes and no. I was nervous because I knew that the level of like visual drag I was bringing just wasn't going to be up to par. Like I knew that going in, but I also was confident that I could compete. Like you said, like I've performed for a long, long time, and I
Yes.
knew that if I was in the bottom, I was going to put on the best fucking show.
Yes.
Like, and that was why I was sort of, as shitty as it was to be in the bottom in that first episode, I was sort of like, right, well, at least now you're going to understand why I'm here.
Yes.
And that was sort of my thinking going into that lip sync, and it worked. And the girls definitely, I think, after seeing that, were like, oh, okay.
Was there a challenge that you were most looking forward to that you were like, I'm going to slay this one?
I think the dance challenge, and I really thought I had slayed it.
And you did slay it.
No, you absolutely did. I don't. There's so many questionable kind of moments of judging and interpretation of, I guess, like what is like drag in America versus drag in New Zealand versus drag in Australia, and how that all kind of gets sent across and how that kind of translates on screen. So.
And I get it as well, because lots of people said about watching the show back, the judging's weird. And I do have to say, when we were there, it made sense.
Yes.
If that made sense.
No,
you know
I
what I mean?
completely
But I
understand.
see it watching back, I'm like, but I looked right. And my Bogan prom was really Bogan. And I was
love your Bogan prom.
I was like, that is 100%. We're from out west and we're like driving cars with no like
Yes.
Warner Fitness. Like,
It was
this is
such
100%
a good
us.
look.
So how did it feel being in the workroom? Did you really feel like you were playing on your own there? Like, because you talk about like, I heard you on Breakfast this morning being like, there's a moment where you realize that none of these queens are going to help you out, like maybe besides Keita. So you really have to like switch around and sort of look after yourself out there.
Yeah, you do. And I think having Keita and Anita there was like a nice little like buffer to it. But it's a competition. Like it's not RuPaul's Best Friend race, and we are all there to compete. And I think off camera, everyone is, lovely to each other and we support each other, but we also all want to win. So, well, as soon as we turn around, it's like, we stab each other in the back a lot. But I just remembered that no one can see me on a podcast.
No, that's fine. Yeah. Okay, I want to ask you a question. I've sort of been like playing on my mind a little bit because I felt like there was so much like conversation about like the way that the queens would kind of, I don't know, like diminish what you've got and sort of be like, you've got no makeup skills or whatever. But which I think, you are a great drag queen. So I want to know, like, what drag is to you.
What is drag? That's the thing. It's what is drag? And that was sort of the thing I had with them being so hard on me about visual aesthetics. I was like, 100% visual aesthetics can be improved, but like, am I the only one here who has nothing? Like, am I the only one here who has to improve? Really? I was like, if you guys are going so hard on me week after week, and I'm the only one who you guys are going to want to show shade at or that sort of stuff, like, it was a little bit. It was rough. The first 3 episodes, like, I very much was down on myself. I was like, I'm just going to go home. Don't want to be here. Cry in my hotel room sort of vibes. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. Because we've seen you on House of Drag. Where you're just...
You were... In that show, you were like, I'm winning. Like, that's the energy you came in with.
And I walked in with that same delusion into the RuPaul's Drag Race. I 100% did. Which you have to. You have to, otherwise you just never do it.
Yeah. No, but that's what you expect as a fan of the show. This like kind of incredible confidence from everyone. Mm-hmm. But then like I felt like, third episode in, we saw this like new side to you. And I know you quite well. Like I've seen you perform thousands of times. And I was like, I feel like James is like, like I don't know if I had this, which is so crazy to see in you because I know you are such a capable performer.
Yeah. It definitely, they talk about, that gets inside your head. I was just like so inside my head. Like you got to
what got you out of there?
You're not talking to anybody else.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? You're in your hotel room on your own, and the only interaction with people is people going, I mean, are you really going to wear that? You don't look that great. So it's
and you're filming reality.
That becomes your reality.
And you're filming reality TV. So you've been forced to kind of look inward.
Yeah.
In a way that you might like come away from a gig at like, a gay bar and be like, was that the best I could do or whatever? But like in terms of
analyze it
every hour of a day being like, are you good enough?
Yep.
So like, how do you pull yourself out of there?
I got mad, got angry.
Yeah.
Was going to storm out. And then I just pulled my big boy pants on. I honestly just went home and I went to my hotel room and I went, fuck them.
Yeah.
Amazing.
I was like, none of you care about me, so I'm not going to care about what you think. So I'm just going to do my shit. And as soon as I started doing my shit and believing in myself, then suddenly everyone starts believing in me and I start to improve and things get better,
Do you feel like as well, I felt like a little bit of it was just that people didn't know you. And so they were like, well, we may as well pick on the person that I don't have a relationship with yet.
And I'm under no illusion that wig was crusty as dry as hell. like all of the critiques and everything they said were valid. It was just
when you're 4 vodka sodas down, you're at the bar, you're not noticing that the wig is like, and that's where drag lives.
Yeah.
That's where drag lives.
Well, that's the world of drag I come from. Like my drag was born on K Road. Like
yeah.
We're all...
I saw you at the Drag Race launch, and the performance was wild because I got to see you rehearse it in like track pants and then perform it. And both times I couldn't believe Elektra jumps off a bar into the splits in the middle of the crowd. It was mind blowing.
Do you ever go like, I've got to stop doing that?
I've started doing this. I've started doing like crossing my heart for each time.
Even like
one day I'm going to hurt myself. Like one day. No, I do, because one day, and like my friend Rebecca, you guys know Rebecca. Rebecca says to me, do you warm up before you jump off the bar into the splits? I'm like, nope, not at all. One day I'm going to seriously hurt myself. But the dream is to, roll up on a double-decker bus and jump off outside the club. And, I want to do ridiculous, crazy shit. Yeah.
Wow. So, how much is the ticket to watch you jump off a double-decker bus?
Free for you, Eli.
Oh, thank you so much. Thank you so much. I'm not free.
So let's talk about the energy in the workroom when there's like all the queens there, like first day of filming, versus like your top 5. Like, how does that? What is the difference? How does it feel?
It's sort of the first day really is everyone's just feeling it out because everyone's sort of no one knows how it works, no one knows how many cameras there are. They don't tell you anything before you walk into the workroom. It's literally you get out of a van, you've got ready in your hotel room, get out of a van, and you just walk in.
And you
say
know
your line.
You know to prep a line.
Yeah.
Did you brainstorm any other lines? I was a model before the accident.
Yeah, that's something I just started saying when people took photos with me when I was working on the K Road. So I'd be like, I was a model before the accident. I don't know where it came from, and it sort of made people laugh.
It's so good.
Yeah.
And so, what was the energy like? Top 5.
Top 5 was tense because it's that last episode. Everyone wants the finale because you know the way they make RuPaul's Drag Race is when you get into the finale, they film the 4 endings. I think everyone knows this. It's not a secret.
Yeah.
And that's so that no one knows who wins right up until it goes on television shows. So everyone just wants to get to that bit because then really the competition's over.
Yes.
So this week was the last challenge, really, for us intensely and in our minds there. So everyone just wanted to survive. Like, and everyone's fighting with each other, and everyone's like, well, that was a bit... Everyone's pulling every single bit apart, and everyone's like, oh, but what do you think that's going to work? Everyone's really fighting at this point.
What was the brief for the talent show? Was it there's going to be a talent show, or you didn't...
There's going to be a talent show. That was the brief.
Wow.
Yeah. Amazing.
Wow.
Yeah.
And were you always like, I'm going to do...
I was always going to dance. Like, I knew that I was going to dance. I didn't know what my dance was going to be about. Originally, that dance was choreographed as like my sob story, to be honest. Like, I was like, I'm going to open up here and I'm going to do a dance. I'm going to be emotional. But that ended up happening through the show, which I didn't expect at all. And so that dance ended up changing to like more of a release. Like, I felt so good after that dance.
Yes.
Like, and I'm fully aware, like, that dance was not the best I've ever danced. I looked like a man in a dress. Like, but I danced after feeling like I wasn't going to perform again in front of a really large audience. Do you know what I mean? And it was just sort of like, get it done, and now I feel I can do anything.
So,
Stunning.
you lip sync against Keita. It's an emotionally charged lip sync. And there's this kind of incredible moment. I mean, an amazing song to get to lip sync to.
And when this show was announced, I was like, I hope they lip sync to the Veronica's Untitled.
Yeah.
Oh God, it was
one of the greatest songs
It
of
was
all time.
such a good song. I feel like all of us queens there were like, I wouldn't mind being on the song.
Exactly.
And now you get to lip sync to that like all the time.
Yeah.
Like,
That was like me, 13-year-old emo in the back of the car, rain against the window. Like,
yes.
Yeah.
So there's this really interesting moment where we think, oh my God, Elektra's going to walk out. How much of that was just like what we saw in the editing versus like you had that up your sleeve, you were like, I'm going to, or like paint that narrative?
I mean, it was a great show. Like, there's no way I'm walking out of the last episode. No. But I just wanted to. The main thing was as well, in my mind, I'd already performed twice.
Right.
So I was trying to think like, what can I bring different to this lip sync? Maybe it's comedy, is it storytelling, whatever it is.
Short hair.
Short hair.
Short hair.
And also, it's like I was against Keita, who's in like boots and a costume she can hardly move in as well. I was like, how if I'm just gonna look at this frantic thing flaying around the place. So yeah, I just tried to do something different, I guess. I thought it'd be a gag. The girls certainly were like, what is happening?
Yeah.
It was great.
I loved it, and I loved it when you pointed at all 4 of them. When you were like, I don't care what they say.
I don't anymore. Like, I love all those girls. Honestly, I do. Like, they're all, talented in their own right. But their opinions are their opinions, and I have my own of myself now.
So, yeah, what is it like now? I mean, because you're all about to go on tour together.
We are.
So, I mean,
That'll
have
be
you
fun.
had much to do with the other queens on the show since your departure? Because
Some of them.
Some of them. Okay, amazing. So some of you'll be like, hi again. Hello.
Yeah. No, it's good. So, like, I'm very close with Keita, obviously. I haven't seen Anita for a little while because I'm not working at Kalutzi. I'm too busy doing my own stuff now, which is fantastic.
Nice.
But I am very close with, like, Karen. I speak with Maxi and Coco and Jojo. And so, yeah, everyone's sort of also dealing with it in their own way. It's sort of like the shared trauma we all have. So watching it back has been, like, reliving it. So.
Yeah, so what's that like, being in the show versus being like, seeing what everyone was saying about you in the confessionals?
To be fair, I didn't expect much of them because I knew what they thought of me there. Like everyone had sort of said it, and so I expected a few more basically of the same thing, and that's what I got. So it wasn't a problem, and I don't blame any. It's TV. It's what we all were there to do. Throw shade and have a fight. But watching it back has been pretty amazing. Watching it back, it's been really.
You must
amazing.
be so proud of yourself.
I am.
Yeah.
I really am. I think, and it sounds stupid to say that like leaving was one of my proudest moments, but like. In that moment, I felt so proud of myself because I had just been on this roller coaster of a ride emotionally that I felt really like I'd completed a journey,
Because it's all about really the narrative that you get inside of the show. Like, we get to meet like a drag queen who might inspire us watching the show, and the queen themselves gets to kind of paint this narrative or story inside of like kind of reality format of the show because it is a reality TV show, and I feel like the story that you managed to get for yourself was this queen who everyone underrated, had bucket loads of talent, was like, had less resource than everyone else, and just proved week after week after week that she had what it could take to get to the final, and kind of left with everyone thinking she could have gone to the final.
Yeah.
Like, that's how I felt.
It's not a bad story. Eh?
It's an amazing
it's
story.
It's all right. And, yeah. And I mean, I think we all go in. I mean, I certainly went in thinking I was going to produce my own show. Do you know what I mean? And I was going to be this fierce, similar to how, House of Drag. I was this overconfident, felt very happy. I know how good I am on stage. I could, and that was what
dancing
was
on the smallest stage in the world.
with 8 backup dancers.
But that was the confidence I took in. Do you know what I mean? And I think that was literally kicked out of me day one. And so I had to just go on this genuine journey and actually figure out what Elektra is and how the show was good because it made me look at James, look at Elektra, and figure out how they smash together.
Okay, so here's a question. Who was Elektra coming into the competition, and then who is Elektra now?
Ooh.
I think Elektra was this diva-y ex-theatre dance kid.
And who is Elektra now?
Pretty famous. Pretty famous ex-theatre dance kid in drag. No, look, I mean, I got a bit of flack for that as well on the show, as like having my background be a performer. And I've seen it happen a lot in the Drag Race universe. Like
people like Rose and Denali
yeah,
were getting a little
it's
bit
sort of
right.
like because they have a history in performance.
It was like it's cheating.
Means you can't do drag. I'm like, well, how does that work? Weren't you an ex-makeup artist?
Yeah.
Weren't you an ex-hairdresser? You know what I mean? It's sort of like we all have things that inform our drag. I'm just lucky enough and have the privilege enough that mine is from a performing arts background. But I don't know. I feel like Elektra helps me tell the story I want to tell as well. Like, I have a lot to say, and I have a lot I want to teach and a lot to share, and Elektra just allows me to do that in a really cool and exciting way that people want to listen to.
And do you see yourself, so you perform as James quite a bit as well, right?
Yeah,
so, totally. And do you see Elektra and James existing in a 50-50 world, or like, what?
Yeah, and I've thought about this a lot as well, because I have for many years, especially here in Auckland. Like, James has got his own brand of stuff going, but I think there's a play on that too. Do you know what I mean? I think I'd love to do. There was this old drag queen, Danny LaRue, who was very famous here in probably 70s, and he used to do this full cabaret show and full drag. And at the end, he used to like walk back behind the curtain and come out in a suit and tie and said, "Thank you very much for coming, ladies and gentlemen. Good night."
Wow,
and
cool.
I've always loved the play of that, and I think that's how James ties into it as well. I think I want to steal that gag, I just
It's yours.
Yeah, the 70s were ages ago. No one's gonna
know.
Yeah.
I think there is a way. James is Elektra. Elektra is James, but just I don't know.
So what's next for Elektra?
I've got lots of things sort of in the pipeline. So I definitely left my options open because I wanted to see how the show went and see how people responded. But I'm going to be touring, I guess. I'm doing lots of drag bingos. I'm making a beer.
Oh, wow.
An Elektra Shock beer?
An Elektra Shock beer.
I love that.
So that'll be kind of fun.
First drag queen to get into kind of
beer.
brewing.
There is a Shea Coulee.
There's a Shea Coulee, like a vodka soda.
But not hops.
Yeah,
We're
it's
talking-
true. It's
we're
not a
talking
beer. It's not a
hops.
beer.
Yeah, we're talking beer. So that'll be coming out probably later this year. But I will be doing...
I believe that. Just up at Christmas.
What are you up to?
Stocking stuffer.
What are you up to? Oh, I don't know. I'm making a beer. Like, it's so insane.
I
What?
can't wait.
It's so
to be like,
motivating, off of Drag Race into like a brewery.
do you lads want to get a couple of Elektra
Yeah,
Shocks after
100%.
after work?
I love that.
But and live performance. Me and my dance partner Rebecca have always produced shows together, so we're going to continue doing that, but just hopefully on a bigger scale.
Awesome.
Well, an honor to have you in the studio, and
And
It's
an
an honor
to
to
watch
be
you.
here. No, honestly,
Yeah.
this was like the most exciting thing of my whole little press thing. I was like,
Oh,
Take
stop
that,
I
breakfast.
got sent a publicity schedule first, like a draft one, and I think the New Zealand stuff wasn't on it, and I was like, well, I better be doing Eli and Chris's podcast. 'Cause I'm very excited to go.
Well, you've honestly made the season, like, it would have been great to watch anyway, but you made it, like, just incredible TV. So kudos to you.
Thank you.
What an amazing drag queen, amazing reality TV star, Elektra Shock. Well done.
We love you.
We love you.
I love yous. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much for listening to Drag Race Down Under the Covers, a special edition of The Real Pod. Please follow Elektra Shock at, I believe, The Real Elektra Shock.
Just
I'm making
Google
that up.
and follow the verified one.
I'm doing my comedy festival show again in July. Please come. It's in a big theatre. It won the Freda Wolfer Best Comedy Show. in the festival.
We literally talked about it.
I know.
Jonathan, thank you so much as well for
thank
producing.
You, Jonathan. Thank you, the spin-off. Thank you, Cole the dog, who's been here the whole time.
There's actually a full greyhound in the studio. You wouldn't know that because honestly, been the best boy.
The best, most relaxed dog.
See you next week for the final.
We love you.
Bye. Bye.
Bye.
Do you find it hard staying optimistic with all the financial news in the media? I'm Bernard Hickey, and on my podcast, When the Facts Change, I'm here to help you navigate the ever-changing landscape of economics in Aotearoa. So join the conversation every Friday on When the Facts Change, brought to you by the Spin-Off Podcast Network in partnership with KiwiBet.
Kia ora e te iwi, Te Aihe Butler here, podcast manager at The Spin-Off. If you enjoy listening to our podcasts, consider supporting our mahi by signing up to become a Spin-Off member at thespinoff.co.nz/donate.
The Spin-Off Podcast Network.